Welcome to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro New Zealand, the podcast series dedicated to exploring technology-related insights with market-leading guests. I'm your host, Jamie Hall, and today I'm here with Snehanshu Bhaisare, Partner Solution Architect at AWS, and Joel DeVetta, Director at UltraIT. In this episode, we dive into the dynamic world of cloud computing. We discuss demystifying cloud complexity and driving success for non-for-profit organisations. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts. Great to have you guys along. This is the first one we've done with two people, so thanks for being the guinea pigs on that one.
Thanks for having us along.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having us. This is a really good opportunity for us to engage with the Ingram Micro, and really happy to be the participant of this show.
Oh, it's so good. Now, I will come back to you, Joel. I'm going to start with Snehanshu here. Tell us a little bit about your career journey with AWS and what you're most proud of.
Yeah, so before the AWS, I would like to start with my passion, right? I'm really passionate about learning something new, being more and more relevant, and trying to add like a value and trying to enable the people who are around me. And with this passion, I've started doing the engineering way back in 2008. I passed in 2008. Now thinking back in the time, it feels like a forever. But I did my bachelor's of engineering in 2008, and then slowly, gradually worked on the mainframes, SAN switches, get to know like how physical hardware is actually working. Slowly, gradually, I moved my focus from the physical hardware to the virtualization, and then from virtualization to cloud. So that journey itself took like at least 15 years to come to the cloud. So I've worked with a different cloud provider in the past, and finally, I'm really happy to be working with the AWS as a partner solution architect.
Awesome. And Joel, UltraIT, exciting business. Tell us a bit about your journey with UltraIT and kind of where that's taking you now.
Yeah, well, I guess I started in the IT world about 15 years ago. I've been through kind of most of the elements of it, done from telco right the way through to print and then RPA, and then now into the actual managed services itself and cloud infrastructure. And I think a little bit different in the fact that my focus has been more around the people involved in businesses and IT, and how that can, I guess, help with the relationships and help with creating more face-to-face time and using IT to free up your time to have those interpersonal sort of connections. And yeah, that's probably been my journey. And so now in UltraIT, it's the same concept, being able to get in there and have that face-to-face with people, help demystify some of the scariness of IT, and realise that it's just a tool that they can use to enhance who they are rather than kind of take over from it. So yeah, it's been cool.
That's great. And for anybody considering starting their own IT business or services company, any advice for anyone sort of either starting that journey or on the way?
I guess the big thing for me is, if you're going down that path, find the right partners, find the right team around you. Don't try and do it all yourself. IT is a massive industry, and I think one of the biggest things that causes, I guess, small businesses to stumble is trying to take on too much too soon. So focus on what you enjoy. Make sure that it's something that you enjoy doing, so that every day you get up and you're passionate about doing it, and then use partners, use the team around you, providers and suppliers and things like that there to allow you to grow into the roles that you want to get to. Yeah.
Great. And with the partnership between both AWS and UltraIT, we're going to cover a little bit about that today. But a question for both of you: how do you see that partnership evolving? Right? Because you're obviously on a journey, but where do you kind of see that taking you?
Yeah, I think I can take that question. So when we talk about the partnership with the AWS, so we as AWS have like a largest community of the customers and the partners. We have 130,000 partners across the globe, spread around the 200 countries. We have more than 1 million customers who is using the AWS. And when we talk about partnership and marketplace, we have like two motions. One motion is selling with and that is when AWS partnership comes into the play. And one is the selling through, and that is where the AWS marketplace come into the play. So, and when we talk about selling with, we have like a 5 different paths. Path number 1 is the hardware path, software path, then consulting partner path, then training path, and then there is a distribution path. And all of this path has like a different vetting mechanisms for all of the partners to graduate. And we often tend to find out the right partners to do the right job. And I think that is how we have met UltraIT, and that is how we started engaging through Ingram Micro with the UltraIT in order to sell with along with the AWS. And when it comes to like selling through, then we can incorporate something called as the AWS marketplace. I can dive a little bit deeper into the AWS marketplace. It's procurement engine, and easily able to find out the lots of products that we have available across the globe. So as we speak, we have more than 2.5 million subscriptions. We have more than 200,000 products which is available. We have more than 5,000 sellers who is selling using the AWS marketplace. So you can see like how mature this sell with and sell through motions are possible along with the AWS partnership as well as along with the AWS marketplace.
How do you see those kind of needs evolving, Joel?
Well, I think for me, as was just mentioned, there's so many different apps. There's so many different subscriptions that you can go for that you almost need a full-time job to start to understand just what's available without even understanding what each app does. And that is the whole concept of the partnership of why UltraIT decided to partner with the likes of AWS and also Ingram, and the fact that we've now got the ability to have hundreds of people that are all experts in these different areas, different fields, and help guide us towards what the right app, what the right product, what the right service is for our customers. And that comes back to that growth through partnership of going, we don't have to know the answer, we just have to know who to talk to. And it's been a great relationship over the last 18 months because we have been able to talk to people, we've been able to get the answers that we need. And so the evolution of this for me is just as I guess the marketplace grows, as these apps grow, there's going to be more products available. And so businesses are going to be able to find the tools that they need a lot easier, but that's still going to require the partnership, and it's still going to require that that connection with the distributors, with the actual sort of, I guess, the suppliers of each of these individual apps. And that's where I think the evolution is going, is people using services of others a lot more than trying to do it themselves and reinvent the wheel.
And you've lightly touched on it. There is probably a perception of complexity, and there's so many options. How do you address some of that complexity or that perception of complexity?
I guess like having things broken down into simple bite-sized pieces is probably the big thing. Not trying to understand how it works, just be happy that it does. And from our point of view, it's to demystify that the fear that I don't know how this works, so therefore I don't trust it. It was like that with the cloud when it came out. There was a massive fear around, where's the data gone? I can't see it. I can't physically control it or touch it. That's gone. The cloud is now here. It's here to stay. And that's kind of where things are heading now in terms of the world of AI, in terms of the world of apps and these big cloud providers like your AWS, and in the sense of going, well, let's break it down into the bite-sized pieces. You want to save yourself 5 minutes a day by not having to type in the same data twice. Cool. Here's a little app that does that. Be happy you've saved 5 minutes a day for each one of your staff. There's a couple of thousand hours a year over a big organization. Rather than trying to go, I need to do everything all in one app and one silver bullet that fixes all. It's not about that. It's about breaking it down to bite-sized pieces so that your business can function better and allow your staff to be more efficient and hopefully enjoy their work a bit more.
Yeah, I have exactly the similar points. But to summarize from very high level perspective, I can create like a 6 major pointers around it. Like the whole point of the cloud is like mentioned: agility, innovation, going global in minutes, elasticity, security. These are the 5 points that I have in the mind, which 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 creates like the whole purpose of the cloud. So I'll just dive a little bit deeper into each of them. When I talk about the agility, right? If you as a business wanted to focus on creating more innovative solutions, you need to have the flexibility in order to fail faster. So how you can do that? If you're there on the AWS, you have leverage to create like a virtual machines on the go. And if you're not happy with whatever the innovation which is going on, you can quickly scrap that virtual machine. That is the agility example. Second goes the elasticity. Like if given in the real world scenario, if you're buying like a physical hardware, it can be a 4-week cycle or 6-week cycle in which you are doing the procurement, you're purchasing the virtual machines or the hardware, installing something, and then try to do some sort of a experimentation with it. And it can take like a very long time, right? And the purpose of the cloud is to provide you that agility, elasticity. So meaning if you have like a big scaling event in the business, then you would be able to scale up or down those resources in a matter of the minutes. And another one is like a cost saving. Because when you actually buy the product directly from the market, it can be upfront cost that you have to put towards that purchase. And then if you go with the public cloud provider such as AWS, you can pay as a go. Like whatever the services that you're buying, you can pay as a subscription price, pay as a pay on the go or pay as you go. That is the third point. Fourth point, every company that I'm interacting in the New Zealand, they have this longing of going global in a minute, right? So AWS, such as we have the partnership, we have AWS Marketplace, we have the broadest and the deepest services, which can help enable the customers and the partners to go global in the minutes, because we have that landscape. We have more than 32 regions across the globe, which people or customer can leverage in order to go global. And lastly, all of the features that you get, it is on the enterprise level security mechanism. So, and when we talk about the security, this is like a job zero for the AWS. We divide this, we call it as a shared responsible model. It has got like 2 different things. One is security of the cloud, and one is the security in the cloud. So we as AWS is responsible for the security of the cloud, and you as a customer or the partner will be responsible for the security in the cloud. And then this bar of the security raises with respect to the services that you're choosing. For example, if you're choosing EC2 or the virtual machine, then that bar will be somewhere over here. And if you're choosing something more managed service such as S3, then that bar will be a little bit higher, so that AWS will take more and more responsibility towards the security. And talking about the AWS, again, we have broadest and the deepest set of the services than any other cloud provider. More than 1,000 unicorns whose valuation is more than $1 billion. They uses 80% of them uses AWS today. 95% of the Fortune 500 companies uses AWS today. So the whole point is like, yes, we are creating a really good value proposition for the customers and the partners to provide that platform so that they can innovate faster by using our services.
And I think with the value, that's kind of always been one of the, I guess, the blockages of the cloud, and for businesses to sit right there and go, it's just too expensive, I can't afford the monthly fees and things like that there. And a lot of that time, it comes back to that lack of understanding, going, if I do the same thing that I'm doing right now with my on-premise server or with my current setup as an organization in the cloud, it's going to cost me more. But that there in itself is the hurdle. It's doing the same thing. The whole point of the cloud is to allow you to be more nimble, the flexibility, the elasticity of the environment that you're in allows you to do things differently, which means, yes, if you did it the same way, it would be more. But if you adjusted the way that you did things, you could actually start to save some big money but also time. And I think that's the key is, yet again, get around the right partners, get around the right information. Don't necessarily trust your Google searches that you do and take that as a source of truth. Talk to people who have been there and done that. Talk to other organisations who have been through that process, and that there will allow you to find out the more cost-effective way of using the cloud rather than just kind of doing the same old, same old. Yeah.
It's a bit of a theme coming through around partnership that's unintentional, but I think that works well. Hey, I want to just touch, without going too deep down the rabbit hole from a technical side of things, from a technical role, how do you support partners with that cloud complexity?
That's a good question. So in my role, my current role is partner solution architect with the AWS. In my role, my major responsibility is to ensure the technical delivery with the quality. Another one is enabling the partners in order to select the right level of the technology, and finally helping them into their sales cycles. So my usual responsibility includes creating the reference architectures, solution architectures, creating diagrams and letting them know, like, hey, what services that you should be using for creating X feature. Creating blogs, videos, reference architecture, that is my regular responsibilities. So this is from the generalist level, and then there is a specialist level. So I really take a proud in myself, calling myself as a GenAI specialist. I'm putting like a lots of effort into learning that. Like I said in the beginning of this podcast, I'm big advocate of learning, being relevant, and then enabling the people and the partners around me. So GenAI, I'm expert. So in AWS, we have something called as a TFC, which is the technical field community. So I'm part of the 3 technical field community. One is the GenAI, one is the AWS Marketplace, and one is the Salesforce. So from the general level, my regular responsibility includes creating reference architecture, blogs, enabling the partners to create the solutions which matters to the customers. And from the specialist level, I specialize into the generative AI.
Exciting. It's a very exciting field and topic,
yes.
To be fair. We don't have anywhere near enough time to even dive close to that. But no, I really appreciate you sharing a little bit on that. If I was going to summarize what I've been hearing, you're talking really about the cloud doesn't have to be complex, doesn't have to have that complexity that probably the perception that it has. But if we just focus on practical tips for a moment, what kind of practical tips would you have for organizations, for businesses out there, around how they can navigate that?
That's a really good question, and I wouldn't have like a one solution fits all,
no.
right?
I was hoping just for one, perfect unicorn answer there, to be fair, but no.
Yeah, so there is no one solution fits all, but based on my experience and based on the patterns that I've been seeing into Australia and New Zealand, I think some tips which may include like a culture being on the top of that, because every company has like a different culture. So being eyes wide open and being flexible towards new changes is something which is really important as a part of the culture of the company. Second is having some sort of principles, like we mentioned, like a buy before you build, right? Or using the partners in order to accelerate into whatever the building cycle that you're building, right? So because the pattern is you don't need to build something from the ground up. If someone has already created something, then you can start buying that and get ahead in the build perspective. Third can be the more you go towards the public cloud, any cloud for that matter, it is going to add enhancement into your solution rather than it is going to replace your solutions. Another thing could be the work backwards. I mean, this is such a simple thing, but I've kept on seeing people missing that thing, like work backwards from what customer wants. Right, it's super important. We have like a leadership principles in Amazon, 16 leadership principle, and the first one is called as a customer obsession, and this revolves around working backwards culture. What does customer want, and then try to work backwards from there. So have this kind of thing. Listen to the domain experts, and then flexibility, like agility of the cloud, right? how you as a business wanting to focus more on the business side, and we as a AWS let us take care of the infrastructure, and you as a business owner, you focus on your business. So whenever you are taking any decisions, think of that decisions. Is it a one-way door decision, or this is the two-way door decision? So when I say one-way door decision, you entering the door and then there is no going back, right? And then when we talk about the two-way door decisions, yes, if something doesn't work properly, then you can at least pivot from that strategy and then take another strategy. So have that flexibility into any of the decisions that you are taking into your business. And finally, in order to get started, 3 main things: pick whatever the right use case that you have. Second, enable your people, train your people with the right tools. And third, get started along with the partners, get started with that use case. And we as a AWS have like a right mechanisms in order to help you into all of these 3 motions, like be it AWS partnership, be it AWS marketplace, sell through mechanisms. We can accelerate all of these 3 motions wherever you as a customer wanting to go with.
Awesome. Joel, any kind of follow-up from a partner perspective?
Yeah, I guess speaking to businesses themselves who are looking at getting into the journey, there's a common theme, and there's a few sayings around. Some of them I'll say and some of them I won't. But ultimately, if you've got AI and you're working with things in the cloud, it's all about the data. And if you have rubbish data coming in, the AI is going to be pretty rubbish. Or the mechanisms that you get out of that solution are going to be terrible, and you can't trust it. And so I guess it's getting down to the real simplicity and breaking it down into those bite-sized pieces, like I said before, and going clean up your data, sort out what you're going to do in terms of. A lot of people have data that's been sitting there for 10 years. It used to be paper sitting in boxes that got put into a container. Now it's a C drive that's just had everything dumped into it, or then a D, or then an E, and then just not deleting stuff that could be deleted. Clean that up. One of the biggest costs of the cloud is storage. And so if you don't need to put it in there, don't put it in there and save yourself some money. Work on the structure and permissions. So the scary thing about the cloud, the scary thing about anything to do with putting all of your information into one electronic system is going, who can see it? Who has access to it? So work out the structure, work out the permissions that you want as an organization. And this is all before you engage with an IT partner, before you engage in any sort of process of migrating to the cloud. And then figure out your organizational blockages. Go down and yet again, let's not try and create one solution that's going to fix everything, because exactly like what was said before, you're going to be working on it for the next 20 years and miss out on that productivity that you could have gained. So break down what are the top 3 things that are slowing down the organization. What are the top 3 things that we're repeating the same process, that the data is inaccurate on a regular basis. Break those down. And then we can start focusing on what solutions, what software, what technology can be used to start to enhance those areas of the business. And yet again, take a step. Because if you don't take that first step, you'll never realize that productivity gain. And if you can save 5 minutes, then you can use that 5 minutes to think about the next step. Then you save 10, use that 10 to think about the next step, and use the time savings to enhance your productivity, which then enhances your sort of path down the journey of IT.
Sounds good.
Yeah, some great tips.
Yeah. Just to double click on the data being differentiator, right? Because every company is differentiate themselves based on whatever the data that they have. So it can be sometimes it can be a daunting task, like Joel just mentioned, like, hey, you have 10 years worth of the data, right? And you have to go through that data in order to create some data strategy around it. And it can be a daunting task, and it can itself take like 2 to 3 years to get the data right. So my recommendation or the tips would be to start small in whatever the data set that you have the full confidence into. Take that data set, pick your use case, start building on that use case with whatever the partner that you have, and then keep iterating that process in order to bring all of the data set over there. Yeah. That is what just thought that came to my mind.
That's great. Now, I want to zoom in a little bit more on specific and unique needs. And we'll use non-for-profits as a great example of that. And Snehanshu, we'll start with you. How do you tailor solutions for specific verticals or specific areas like non-for-profits? And then Joel, after that, what challenges have you overcome in that area with UltraIT?
Yeah, definitely. So from AWS perspective, like I mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, we have more than 5,000 industry partners, which creates like a industry solutions. And when we talk about the non-profit partnership, we have like a certain set of the partners who focuses only onto the non-profit organization. So from AWS perspective, we have three main things. Number one is the solution level guidance. Number two is the sales level guidance. And number three is the partnership level guidance. So when I talk about the solution level guidance, we also call it as a prescriptive guidance. So let's say you are a non-profit organization. Your regular problems could be my donors, my members or volunteers sharing 10 years worth of data, but I am not able to visualize this and I'm not able to take any data-driven decisions by that. That can be one of the use case, right? So from the AWS perspective, we have something called as a prescriptive guidance. And in that prescriptive guidance, you get like three main things. One is the technical reference architecture diagram. One is the sample code in order to build that diagram. And the third one is the guidance around what is that diagram, how do you get started with it. But again, this is not going to be your production like scenario. This can be like a starting point, but it cannot be considered as like the production like solution. So that is on the solution level guidance that we give. From the sales level, we have lots of funding mechanism in place, like how many grants or the credits that we can give it to the non-profit organization and how we can help them accelerate into their journey. That is on the funding level. Third is on the partnership level. So we have created a competency specifically for the non-profit organization. So we have many competencies within the AWS, and this one is dedicated only for the non-profit organizations. So when I say competency, so we from AWS have like a vetting mechanisms in order to find out which partner is able to do X number of things when we vet them into the non-profit organization perspective. So that's like a rigorous process, and then we find out like, hey, this is the X partner who would be able to create a differentiation in the market from the non-profit organization perspective. So once partner go through that, then they get that badge like, hey, they are the non-profit organization competency partner. And by this competency, they get like a certain different benefits for likes of funding in the form of blogs, in the form of events, in the form of MDF Marketing Development Fund, in order to create more value on the field.
Great. So yeah, Joel, from a partner perspective, what sort of challenges have you overcome?
Yeah, so I guess the elephant in the room is cost. Every time you have to build something, and this is coming back to the buy versus build. If someone's already done it, they've spent the majority of the money on it, and it's kind of you buy it out of the box. But a lot of the time, people are looking for something specific for their organization. They've got a specific need that needs to be addressed, and when you're starting to build something from scratch, that's where the cost comes in. And I guess one of the major things that drew us to a partnership with AWS was the funding that is available for that. And the funding is not just for the partners, it flows through the partners. And I think that's one of the key things that we focused on in our journey is we spend a lot of time working with AWS to get the right funding so that we can pass it on to our customers, especially the ones in the not-for-profit, that they're not loaded with cash. And the reality is the benefit that they can achieve from it, dealing with people and dealing with numbers and statistics and all that sort of thing that they do, it's almost like low-hanging fruit in the sense that there's so much that you can do so quickly and so easily to drastically change that organisation because they haven't had that in the past. They haven't had those structures and those I guess, the setup that the big corporates can get. And so some of the things that we've done with that there is working on funding mechanisms to help with the initial upfront development. We've actually internally gone to an organisation to help get AI recategorised as an asset in the finance sort of lending market now. So we can now, in essence, lease AI solutions to customers and the upfront costings and things like that there. So rather than having to come up with $100,000 or $200,000 to develop it and build it, they might pay $2,000 or $3,000 a month. But if you're saving 150 hours a month, then suddenly it's upfront ROI. And it's changing that concept of going, you have to wait 2 or 3 years to realise the benefit of this, realise the benefit now, and that brings it back to take the step. Because if you can take the step, then you're going to realise those benefits straight away. And I guess the final thing in terms of the challenges that we've sort of been working with is, yet again, it's about the education. And there's some phenomenal resources available to help educate our clients around what is available and what is there to help them get to that next step. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, knowing the expertise that you both hold in this space, clearly, I wanted to zoom in just a little bit more. So what is AWS doing to support groups like Māori and Pacifica in this area?
Oh, that's a really good question, and this is really close to my heart as well. So apart from the Gen AI, I put my heart into this supporting the local community as well, because I really feel I'm strongly connected with this land. So and ever since I started my journey with the AWS, I started contributing more and more about how I can help the community who has given me this opportunity to work with the AWS, right? So I started, so there is this initiative that we are working on called as B2B Tech. We started working on this initiative since 2022. So it's been more than 2 years we have been working on this. And the main purpose of this initiative is to bring the digital access to the Maori and the Pacifica student, 12,000 Maori and the Pacifica students. And as a part of this, we have enabled a couple of the companies called as Code Avengers and Education Perfect, who has direct connection on the ground with the schools and the teachers, who is driving this motion on the field. And as a part of this initiative, we have ran one event called as a Whānau Day a couple of months ago, in which not just AWS who participated, but there are many other customers who also participated for the likes of Zero, Foodstuff, Might Attend, Code Avengers, Education Perfect, and many, many more. We invited around 275 students from the year 7 until year 10, along with their parents, in order to, introduce them like, hey, this is what the technology is. And if you want to pursue career into the digital market, then this is what the avenues which is available. So as a part of the AWS, we had like 6 different booths. One booth was talking about gaming. My booth, of course, talking about the Gen AI, me being devoted into the Gen AI space. One booth was talking about the observability. One booth was demo delivery car. For example, if you're ordering something, then instead of the Uber car, there will be like a different car who will come. So there are like multiple booths that we had. And to my surprise, the students from the year 7 to year 10, they asked a lot of questions about the generative AI. So that just blew my mind. Like, hey, from the year 7 to year 10, if they're asking the questions about the generative AI, then that makes me feel that we are in the midst of the AI revolution, and whatever the efforts that we can do in order to learn things, in order to enable people, is just going to do like a lot of things into the market. And I'm not creating this judgment based on the events that we have ran, not like a Indigitech or the Whānau Day. Apart from these 2 events, we have something called as a Hapori Vahini, which focuses on the women from Maori and the Pacifica who wanted to pursue a career into the technology. Another one is called as Dreamforce, which also the similar initiative in order to bridge that technical gap. So within the period of these 3 years with the AWS, I was part of at least 6 to 7 different programs in order to bring the innovation or the technology to the Maori and the Pacifica people. And not just this. whatever the experience that I have, it's not just on this. We have created some research along with the Access partnership, and we have released this research probably 2 months ago. And based on that research, what we have done is we have interviewed around 500 employers and 1,600 employees to ask them like, hey, how AI is going to be impacting your regular work or your companies. And to our surprise, 90% of the companies will be enabled by the AI. I'm talking about the New Zealand by 2028. Regardless of your generation, be it millennials or Gen Z or Gen X, I don't know how many generations. So regardless of the generations, 80% actually believed that, hey, the AI is going to be transforming, or they're going to be adopting AI into their regular life. Another data point that we have received is 50% of those employers said that AI is going to increase the productivity into our companies. So we can just clearly see, like, whether you plan it or you don't plan it, the AI is going to come into your work life on a regular basis, and more steps that we can take in order to learn things, it is going to be smoothing that learning curve.
That all sounds very exciting. And lots to unpack there. But from a practical step, Joel, is there anything that you could share in practical outcomes, I guess, from your experience?
Yeah, so we've been working with a few different organisations, and going, I guess, into the not-for-profits and some of the sort of different organisations we've been dealing with. One of the key things is data. They've got so much data that they've got to go through, and so much reporting in terms of getting the data that they've received from the people they're looking after, whether it be members of iwi, whether it be social services, any of that sort of thing. There's so much data that comes in, and then that's all got to be presented to the government somewhere, or some form of department. And a huge amount of the time that these organisations are spending is around compiling that and taking useful information from the mass of the data. And so we've been using some generative AI. We've been using some different solutions to help sift through that data, allow them to store the data in a big bucket and not get too, precise or fancy about, we have to name the file this and we have to do this and do that, and then if someone accidentally mistypes the name, you'll never find the file again. It's going away from that, putting it all into a big bucket, and then allowing AI and allowing smart search tools to start compiling that information, start presenting the reports, start templating responses, start putting together graphs and things like that there, so that the information that's presented can be accurate, but most importantly, it can be done in a time-efficient manner. And so that's one of the things I've been working with some organisations. And then the other one is then taking that data that you're presenting. It's all good passing it on to the government, but that's not really going to grow your own organisation. So it's using that data and now going, well, how can we use this to enhance our offerings to the people that we look after? And so a lot of the AI that's sitting in the back of it is now coming up with very strategic ways of reorganizing your structures and your processes and things like that there. And coming back to, I guess, my original point, allowing people to be in front of people. So it's taking away that monotonous work that a caseworker, I spoke to one recently, and they've, instead of being 10 minutes in front of someone and then an hour and a half worth of paperwork in the background, it's now you can spend an hour and a half with that person who actually needs to talk to you, and 10 minutes in the background doing paperwork. And to me, that's probably the biggest outcome success from the partnerships that we've done, and from AI and from the cloud and AWS and all these things that we've spoken about today. It's compiled into the reality of the people, which has been my passion, and allowing people to talk to people, and hopefully bringing back the human contact, which is kind of almost counterintuitive. AI is helping us to spend more time in front of people, but I think that's where a lot of us are hoping it's heading.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's awesome to hear like real examples in New Zealand about how that technology is helping. So thank you. Now, before we go, I wish we had more time to unpack more examples, but I do have the same segment that we share with all guests called 5 and 5. We've got 5 questions to ask you, 5-second-ish answers. Here we go. So, and we'll start with you, Snehanshu. Okay. So question number 1, what book, app or show would you miss the most on a deserted island?
Lex Friedman's podcast. This actually takes an interview of all of the technical people, be it Elon Musk or Arvind from Perplexity or Dario from Anthropic. So it always talks about the generative AI and the technology and where it is taking the world into. So yes, I'll definitely miss Lex Friedman podcast.
I've caught a few of those. They're good. Joel?
Uber.
Okay, fair enough.
Nice and simple.
Great. All right, so question number 2. What is your favourite movie featuring AI?
iRobot. I think Will Smith was there, and why it is because it touched a little bit on the AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which is a model or the LLM is thinking and able to create the different models. So not able to only have the conversation, but also able to do the iteration, take the action, and then improvise from there. So I really like that iRobot movie.
Great, but scary, that one.
Yeah.
Knowing what's going on now.
Interstellar for me. Just the concept of one of the few movies where AI was presented in a way of trying to save humanity, rather than a lot of the other ones which focused on it taking over.
That's a fantastic movie too. That's a good one. All right, what does your social media algorithm think you're obsessed with?
AI guy.
AI guy.
Yeah, straightforward. Like everywhere, whatever the application that I'm opening, I'm just getting like everything about the generative AI. Like what people are talking about, how they are using it, how they are scaling it, what is the future is going to look like. So 2 words, AI guy.
Nice job.
Robotic lawnmowers.
Okay.
That's been a thing. Got a bit of land, and yeah.
Future purchase maybe.
Already done.
Okay.
Already done. Saves about 6 hours a week of mowing, so it's brilliant.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're almost there. Second to last question. What piece of outdated tech would you miss the most and why?
I think for me is that dial-up internet. You remember when you used to pick up the phone, it used to create that screeching kind of a noise. And it is not because of the functionality, but for what it symbolized, I really miss the dial-up internet.
I don't miss the speed. Yes, I hear you.
For me, it's probably DVDs. Yet again, not because of the technology, but because of the experience that it provided. I remember going to the DVD shop with a bunch of mates or family or whatever it was, and you went and got a few movies and sat down, and it became kind of an event. You went there, you selected it, you had a big night of it. Now everything's available at any time, anywhere, and I guess the specialness of that moment has kind of disappeared, and it's just become like breathing. So yeah.
Nice. Final question for you guys. If you could share one game-changing productivity tip, what would it be?
That's a good one. Because the pace of innovation is so fast, my one tip would be to keep learning on a regular basis, keep building that intellectual capability, and try to enable the people who is around you in order to keep up with this pace of innovation.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'd say create a day a week for your team to be able to just focus. Take away your customer meetings, take away phone calls, things like that there, and provide a day or even half a day, depending on your business, but provide a time where you can have concentrated focus on a particular topic or a particular subject, and take away the noise. I think in this sort of age where there's so much information everywhere, that information basically translates into interruption of what you're trying to do. So try bring back focus to the team, but it's never going to happen unless you allow it to happen.
Yeah. Very good call. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining. The first time we've had 2 guests, like I mentioned at the very start. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming along.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Great.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in today, and a special thanks to AWS for supporting this episode. If there are any guests or topics you'd like to see featured, connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll find the links in the description. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.